Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Leavenworth-Lansing Chamber of Commerce. Anyway, thank you so much for joining the Leavenworth-Lansing Chamber of Commerce's candidate forums. Tonight we'll have a candidate forum for the Leavenworth City Commission, followed by USD 453. You should have gotten a handout that has the candidate's name. It's there for you to be able to take notes. So please feel free to do that. And then if you want to have, if you have questions you have candidates to answer, please write it out. We'll collect those, sort through them. We're probably not going to be able to cover all questions this evening, but we'll try to have those asked of our candidates and send you This is from Ed Hingela. Good evening. I apologize for not being able to be with you this evening, but family must come first. When re-elected, my goals are to continue to work for all the citizens of Leavenworth. In order for that to happen, the first thing I must seek is citizens to take part in the process, to make sure you're registered to vote by Tuesday, October 17th, and then vote. Early voting at the county courthouse begins Wednesday, October 18th, and continues until 12 noon, November 6th. Election day then is November 7th. I know that I would be singing to the choir to exhort you to vote, but I want you to also speak to your friends and relatives about the importance of voting. We need to have a citizenry that wants to be involved in the process of choosing who they want to represent them. I, in turn, pledged to you that I seek re-election in order to continue to represent all the citizens of the city of Leavenworth, not just some who agree with the things I say or stand for. I have in the past done what I could to limit the taxes we pay, in particular property taxes. I, working with other city commissioners, recently rejected a budget that exceeded the revenue neutral rate, meaning the city would have to collect more than property taxes in 2024 than it did in 2023. 2 weeks later, we approved a budget for 2024 that the dedicated city staff worked on collectively that met the revenue neutral rate. I also want to ensure the city's first responders continue to get the equipment and training they need to keep us safe. I want to help develop the city's budget for 2025 and future years, focusing on what needs we really require and should be planning to provide funding for, versus ones that don't contribute to the success of the city. We are the first city in Kansas. That fact, unfortunately, brings with it the problem of having some of the oldest infrastructure in Kansas. That's a great example of a genuine need that our taxes should be spent on. I do have it on my calendar to attend the next Chamber Commerce Government Affairs Committee meet and greet on Friday, October 6th at 10 and 2 Cafe, and would like to speak with anybody who attends. So that's a reminder that we do have an event this coming Friday, 4 to 6, at the 10 and 2 coffee shop. It's a meet and greet, so you can come and meet candidates informally and chat with them. So with that, can we start at the far end and work our way here? Again, you've got 2 minutes to introduce yourselves. You can either stand or remain seated.
Okay, first I'd like to thank the Chamber for inviting us and giving us the opportunity this evening. I am Gerard Overby. I'm running for City Commission for the City of Leavenworth. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a Christian. I'm a patriot. I'm a veteran. I'm a native of Kansas, from Topeka. I'm a father. I'm a husband. And I served 24 years in the United States Army in places like Afghanistan and Iraq. What I'd like to do is find common ground tonight. And I'd like you to play a little show of hands. Don't worry if you feel embarrassed or whatever. I'm just trying to gauge the room. Raise your hand if you like to pay higher taxes, especially property tax. Okay. No, you love to pay property. I don't. Raise your hand if you like the potholes outside your house or down the street. I don't. Raise your hand if you like fentanyl killing kids. No one. I don't. Raise your hand if you would like small businesses to move out of Leavenworth and go to some other town. I don't. So I think in this room we will meet common ground. That's my platform. I'd love for you to come out on the 7th of November and show your support for my candidacy. Thank you.
Testing. My name is Nick Pop. I really chose this spot because I thought that's what I was going to go first. I like was just to stand up and say ditto when it was over. But lifelong Leavenworthian, I think that's what we're called, right? Yeah. Leavenworthites. I'm one of those. I've seen this city inside and out. I used to work for the wastewater department. I currently work in wastewater in Lawrence Springs, and part of the reason I made that move is the city just doesn't pay as well as it should. These jobs are hard labor, they take skilled individuals, and we're suffering right now finding people. We've got openings in basically every city department. I would love to see our city take a real long look at our pay structure and our incentives and bonuses for these people to make sure we get good, solid, qualified people in these positions. So we don't run into any problems and we don't have to pay fines and whatnot. Yeah, that's really where I'm at. I'm also running for water board too. So if you've seen my name twice, that's not a typo. I would love your vote for both of them. But really, I just want to try to see that take place. I want to see these people get the raises they need. I want to see this infrastructure get the care it needs, so we're not paying double. When I say pay double, really what I mean is you can pay the maintenance now for minimum maintenance, or you can pay a lot more later because, it didn't get done. He was talking about potholes. I'm sure everybody's seen them. I would hate to see every year pay those costs and car fees and getting your car maintenance. I would love to see those fees go to fixing the roads and service everything. So that's really where I'm at. I really don't have anything else. I'm open to ask questions. But yeah, I think that's really where I'm at. This is Sam, by the way.
I'd like to thank Chamber for doing this and our citizens for showing up. This is awesome. This is a great crowd here. Sam Maxwell, longtime resident, 4 generations deep in this town. Married to my wife, Ricky, over there for 8 years. Got 5 beautiful children from her. I am your blue-collar man. I know the roads inside and out. I know the infrastructure inside and out. I have done work in this town. I'm up to date on current technologies as far as construction is concerned. We've been getting some great things here lately to help with cracks in roads and potholes. Some new things that are coming out that will be a little bit cheaper but better in the long run. That's the kind of thing I want to bring to the city. I want to bring the blue collar, the common sense. Hey, let's do this way. It'll work out a little bit better in the long run for you. I can save money as far as equipment. I know it. I use it every day. I know what's good, what's not. I want to make suggestions, on how we can save money that way. Maybe leasing some of this equipment instead of buying it straight out. Other than that, I hope you guys come out on November 7th and have any questions. Go on and ask.
Hello, I'm Nancy Bowder, and I couldn't decide whether to stand or sit. I twisted my back, so I'm going to sit. I also would like to thank the Chamber for sponsoring this nonpartisan forum. I believe that the city and the school board should remain nonpartisan, so that some of the people that are running now, if it wasn't nonpartisan, they wouldn't be able to run. So I believe in nonpartisanship. I also believe that our board of directors, our board commission board, should have members who have diverse backgrounds. And I'm glad to see that there are people with diverse backgrounds that are running, because one person doesn't know everything. And so you need to have people who are community leaders. You need to have people who understand construction. And when I first started, Larry Dedeke was a great mentor to me. Mark Preisinger was, because Larry especially had a lot of background in that. So what do I bring to the table? I bring an experience, management experience. I've been a medical practice manager, hospital risk manager, community service and dedication, many organizations that I've volunteered for over the years. and I am a business owner. Some of my commission accomplishments, I guess the toughest one and the one I'm most proud of is the LV Ride, the transportation that we now have in our community. Economic development, when I first started, we didn't have any new hotels, now we have 5, which helps us pay taxes. They pay a lot of taxes to our community, and the people from out of town are paying those taxes. It's not our people. I've lobbied in Washington several times for the Centennial Bridge, and for a rental housing coordinator, and for the USB. And please get out and vote. Get your friends to come out and vote. Thank you so much.
I'm not good. I know I should say. Well, hello everyone. So good to see you all out here tonight. I am Holly Pittman. I am from Leavenworth, and if you've seen my signs, you know that I love Leavenworth. I'm running because I want to give back to the community of Leavenworth that raised me. I grew up here in Leavenworth. I went to kindergarten and graduated through the Leavenworth School Districts in 1991. I then went on to the University of Kansas, where I earned a Bachelor's of Science through the School of Education in Community Health. And then my husband is also from Leavenworth, so it's important that we continue when we got married to raise our children here. I have 3 children. 2 of them are in college, and then 1 is a 6th grader here at Warren Intermediate School. I already serve our community. I am the president of the Leavenworth Education Foundation, and I'm also the president of the Leavenworth High School Alumni Association. I'm the past president of the Leavenworth Women's Chamber of Commerce. I'm also was the president of Leavenworth Main Street during COVID, and so that was tough, but it definitely strengthened me, and hopefully I supported all those small businesses because they were able to stay open. And I'm also the past president of CASA, which serves abused and neglected children. I am the vice president of the Salvation Army and the vice president of the Leavenworth Lions, which I'm very proud of, and I'm also vice president of the Riverside Resources. I currently serve on several boards and volunteer in several boards in the community. Richard Allen Culture Center, Leavenworth Leadership, the Library Foundation, and the Union Community. So why am I telling you all this? Why am I bragging about myself? Because I believe that community engagement is important. It makes a good leader. I know my community. I serve in the community. I serve alongside many other people to make this a great place to live. Over the past month, I've been going door to door and talking to my constituents, and 3 things I've made an acronym out of it called PPT. People want to talk about potholes, pickleball, and trash. So I hope that we talk about those things tonight. Thank you.
First question for our candidates. Let me suggest to you that economic development in Leavenworth County is fragmented. None of the players are coordinated, everybody's doing their own thing, and we're not moving forward because we don't have a unified voice to the state and everybody else about how to develop infrastructure and how to attract more business. What would you do as a commissioner to try to create some unity in the county so we can have a solid promotional event or plan for economic development? Yes.
Well, one thing that I'm really good at is bringing people together, community engagement. So as president of the Leavenworth Main Street, I know all the players in economic development, and I think it's important that we continue to grow economic development here in Leavenworth. So I would bring Leavenworth Main Street, the Chamber of Commerce, Leavenworth County Development to the table. Even the counties and the cities now have their own economic development people, and to bring those to the table to talk about how we can better continue to serve Leavenworth. One idea that I have to bring economic development is to use our tourism. I tell people we don't have mountains, we don't have oceans here in Leavenworth, but we have history. So why aren't we capitalizing that to bring that to Leavenworth? This prison is about to close. This would make an excellent museum. 2.5 million people see Alcatraz every year, and those same people were here in Leavenworth. Let's bring those people to Leavenworth to see how cool it is here and make some money, some revenue for our city. So that would one way I would bring economic development players together.
I think those are great ideas. I would also add to that we have a comprehensive plan that we do for the city, and each one of the cities does that. And the county also has a comprehensive plan. And when they did theirs, they really just covered the unincorporated areas. And I felt like all our cities should get together as well as the county. And because you figure out, what businesses complement each other, what companies complement each other in the community. And that's, worked well in unified government, worked well in other areas of Kansas City. And I think it would work well for our county to see what other cities are proposing, what they're doing, and what the county is proposing.
I'd say we need to take care of some of the ones we got at home first and start working with the businesses we have now and see what their issues are, try and straighten out some of those, and get a better idea how to make it easier for people to come. If there's some sort of regulation or something we can kind of edit or change, or even, write some more ones to help promote business downtown or in the city or anywhere else. Let's just talk to our locals and see what we can do. That's
Just a moment. I don't believe you introduced yourself, and I don't know who you are.
Sam Maxwell.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nick Bob. I get to do it. I ditto. It's all that now. Really, my whole thing is about the infrastructure on this, and I know the big focus is on bringing new businesses and everything like that. And definitely that is a concern of mine, and definitely it should be a concern for the city. What I'd really like to see though is our infrastructure start to be built up and start to be worked on. What I'm afraid is part of the reason these businesses don't want to have anything to do with the city is we're not taking care of our property that we have. We don't have the curb field that we need. We're run down. Let's just call it like it is. And it's not that we haven't been going the right direction. We are, but we need a lot more work to get there. So I would work on that first. I would work on all these problems that we have, all these models that we have. I mentioned our understaffing in our city departments. Again, going back to new businesses, I would not choose a place to set up a business if they didn't have the correct number of firefighters to service the city. That's just something else. So, yeah, really, that's what we're looking at.
We need to introduce ourselves. Gerard Overby again. I would have a summit where we would invite people from around the county and in the city, kind of like a contract. We send out a request for proposal. We'd send out a request saying, come visit this summit, and then we would get the ideas from them and how to develop the city and the county. And I've already worked across the county with businesses and the county commissioners. So that's an easy thing.
Okay, can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
So
Or Eric. Eric.
Eric.
Not Jeff.
All right, next question. What is revenue neutral and how or why does it help the city bring jobs and opportunity to Leavenworth?
Okay, as I understand revenue neutral is that state that you go above what revenue you already have according to the property assessed values of the houses around the city. Revenue neutral is something that you don't want to go above, or you create an additional tax on top of the property taxes that you already have. For the last 2 years, I've stood in front of the city commission and asked them to stay at revenue neutral and to use certain funds that they have. They had $18 million last year in order to address keeping the taxes down. But they instead went ahead and did revenue neutral again. This year, I guess because it's an election year, they went ahead and dipped down into some of the revenue funds just so they could stay revenue neutral. Thank you.
Yeah, I really think Durham comes up with revenue neutral. Sorry, what was this number question? What is revenue neutral?
What is revenue neutral? And how does it bring jobs and opportunity to Leavenworth?
Well, certainly keeping the taxes down and things like that with attorney businesses and whatnot. We definitely don't want to run anybody away with a big old bill like that. Keeping the revenue neutral in this situation, I think would be best. I'm stumbling on this one. That's a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. Because those baseballs, holy cow. I'm going to pass it to Sam on this one, actually.
Your revenue neutral is you get what you get, that's all you get. Now, if we Unfortunately, in a city of any size, you're going to either hit your mark, be below it, or you could have a catastrophe and then everything goes haywire. So you don't know what you're going to get year to year, unfortunately. I mean, we have an old sewer plant down there that needs to be retrofitted because it is that old. That's a lot of money. And unfortunately, it's one of those things where, what do we do? Sometimes we have to go over. We don't like to. We would like to keep the taxes as low as possible, like we have to run the city.
Well, I did not vote for the revenue neutral budget for the whole city. The city was revenue neutral. The city was revenue neutral. And all of the commissioners looked at all of the budget. They made cuts at the last minute. We had the library board, which the library board is under state regulation, able to get a certain number of mills, so they got those mills. That put us slightly over, but we had already done our city budget. We were already revenue neutral. And I don't know how it would bring in more businesses, honestly, because, you know, we've got bigger expenses with right now we're trying to hire refuse workers, but we've got to pay them more. And how can we get by with that? So revenue neutral to me is just a number to say we weren't paying what we paid last year. But 15 years ago, we had a mill levy of 56, and now we got a mill levy of 21. How much lower can we go?
So first of all, I want to say I do not want to raise taxes. Revenue neutral is basically when your budget is the same last year as it's going to be the next year. And revenue neutral, I believe, is a political buzzword created by some state representatives to the scare tactic. I would like to know, it was from Senate Bill 13, which is called Truth in Taxation. And basically what that is that you have to send out, the counties and the city have to send out a letter if we raise your taxes. But ask a state legislature, and I'm married to one, ask one if the state has revenue neutral. Their budget went up 13% last year. Did they have to send out anything, or they weren't revenue neutral? They were not revenue neutral. So I think it's really hard to be revenue neutral when basically we've got to, like you said, grow our community and increase with inflation. So that's my answer.
Well, actually, I think a good opportunity. Continues that theme. Everyone wants living competitive wages for our city employees. Everyone wants lower taxes. How will you balance those, and where does the funding come from?
Well, the funding is going to come from my plan to bring tourism to Leavenworth. We are the first city in Kansas, and only 14% of our revenue comes from property taxes, but over 30%, 33% or something like that comes from sales tax revenue. So if we had more people coming to our community for eating in our downtown, eating in our restaurants, staying in our hotels, that's going to bring in more revenue. And more revenue comes in, we can pay our workers more money, and we can have more services so we can lower the taxes. We just need to think outside the box how we can bring more people to our community to get more revenue coming in. That's not out of your and I's pocket.
Oh, excuse me. Nancy Bowder, we have 19% of our taxes are property taxes in our budget, 19%. The rest are in sales tax. It used to be we had 56% of our budget was property tax, and now it's only 19%. That means we've increased the sales tax to be able to make the bills. So economic development raises more sales tax to help us out. And the way we do that is work with economic development, try to bring more businesses in here. And excuse me, and sales tax is a regressive tax. It comes and goes. So everything's going to come and go. And from what we know now, our sales tax is probably going to go down a little bit next year. So that will affect our budget next year.
mean, spending our money a little wiser, and kicking around the idea of getting a grant writer to kind of help take the burden. If we can get grants to fix our roads, it's, you know, a little extra to help us and not so much come out of our pockets, but the bigger pot on top, you know, maybe getting something like that going. Yeah, competitive wages, I mean, that's hard because in this economy right now, it's hard to keep up. I know, I'm in it every day. It's hard to get good working labor that will work for what you're paying them. I mean, we don't have the work pool we used to, unfortunately. When COVID hit, we lost all the baby boomers. And everybody is struggling to get help. I don't know how we fix it yet because, like I said, we're paying well and we still can't get them. So it's just, we got to find some people that maybe, sorry.
I think we've kind of reached an arms race with wages just in the city and just in the
I
country.
can't hear you, sir.
I'm sorry. I think we've just kind of reached an arms race with the wages in the city and country in general. Everybody's trying to one up each other, just trying to attract the best people they can. We can continue to play that game. We can continue to raise the wages, which is what I kind of think we need to do, or we cannot and pay those fees and maintenance and pay those fees and contract fees and things like that if we don't pay those wages. So it really is, it's a double-edged sword. You can invest in your community, you can invest in your people, and see those wages come back to you, their businesses that they visit and the taxes that they pay in the city, or you cannot pay it and you can see your money go to emergency, repairs or emergency replacements on parts and stuff that should have been taken care of because you didn't have the people.
We got to look at bringing the small businesses into the city and not push them away because of fees or higher taxes or whatever. We also have to look at getting rid of paying out bonds because that over time that costs the city a lot of money. And then we have to look at the wants versus needs, and we have to look at our needs first, which we were talking about the water waste facility. It needs about 10 or 15 more $1 million in order to bring it up to 2021 standards or 2023 standards, but it's got 1970s equipment in it. So, wants versus needs. Look at your needs first, and then whatever's left over, then we can start doing the wants.
Well, continuing on the theme of economic development, let me ask this two-part question. What are your three concerns about economic development for Leavenworth, and do you have any plans to bring in or recruit big businesses to come into?
Well, first of all, small businesses need to come in. That's the backbone of all these small communities like Leavenworth. Next is to shore up the first responders so that we can address those needs. Then be able to pay our workers that are either on contract or in the city, a livable wage, so they can support families. Did that answer your question?
Good. I'm sorry. Okay. Again, the question is, what are your three concerns about business growth in Leavenworth, and what are your plans to recruit big business to come to Leavenworth?
Okay. The deficiencies that I see, like I said earlier, I'm sorry, I see you earlier. The deficiencies that I see are our infrastructure definitely needs to be looked at. He had mentioned our first responders, and that goes with everybody. Basically, our own city departments, they need to be properly funded and properly staffed. And also, we're the oldest city, so there's definitely some things that need to be looked at. Just that even outside of the infrastructure, just what needs to be replaced. And attracting big business, while I do think that's super important, I really want to see small businesses grow. We've got a wonderful downtown. There's a lot of empty buildings. I'd love to see those get filled. As great as it would be to bring in big business, I would love to see our own people grow first, and I would love to see the tax money come in for that and actually help the city grow to be a better place. I love the sign, man. It's distracting. I keep that little bigger line here.
Bringing in business, it's kind of a countywide thing. I mean, if we talk to, we've got a neighboring city, Lansing, who's putting up, I think, 3 different structures on their Century Driveway this year coming up. We need to get some way to Kansas City a little faster. Sometimes, I believe, it would bring in some more of that big business. We have a great industrial park out there. We haven't seen anything really be developed yet. Maybe we could talk to Amazon and get them a hub out there. There are some of our rural counties, you know. Just talking to businesses, helping out our smaller businesses, helping them figure out ways, you know, there's grants for smaller businesses to even remodel buildings. Take some of that stuff off of them. Let's help out our smaller businesses. That'll help the economic growth, I believe, a lot better.
Well, as far as our downtown, I mean, we do have a lot of vacant buildings, not only downtown, but throughout the area that are just sitting there. You know, they're not being developed, they're not being marketed by the owners, and we don't have anything to say about that. But that is one of the concerns that I see, that we really don't have anything to say about that. We can recruit businesses in there all we want, but if the owner doesn't want to do anything with that building, then what do we do? The large companies provide jobs, they provide higher paying jobs. Zero Ingredients is growing. There's some other companies that are here in Leavenworth that are also growing. Zephyr, we're going to a grand opening where Zephyr is growing its plant. And another concern I have is the old Leavenworth Plaza. For years, we used to have that developed, and we have recruited and recruited and recruited. And our assistant city manager is really great at that, but we don't have that yet.
I will see your Leavenworth Plaza and raise you one business park. That's one place where we need to start bringing manufacturing right there. We have this big, beautiful business park, and there's nobody in it. So let's start working on that. We need to support our current small businesses. They need to feel the love from us. They need to know that we care. I mean, simple things like grease traps. That's a big issue for our downtown. They need to feel that we care about them and support them. We also need to work with the Department of Commerce. We can, right here, we have this asset called the Fort Leavenworth. We can work with the Department of Defense to be bringing more government contractors to right here in our community. Also work again with tourism. We are the first city in Kansas. Let's publicize that to the world. Our county and our city needs to work together. And I also went to a class called Destination, How to Make Your Community a Destination Location. Let's do it. We have some amazing stuff here, so let's work on that. That's the bad part being right here. I get to go twice.
Let me combine a couple of our questions that have to do with city policies and regulations. So one questioner asking, what can you do about unauthorized use of dumping in business dumpsters because of a change in city trash policy? And then another question about what you can do about changes in the sign ordinances. So a bigger thing is, what do you think your involvement should be to soften or somehow make city regulations more applicable to business?
So I run a Facebook site called First City Focus, and boy, is signs the topic of that. So it's been 10 years since we've looked at the sign statutes, and I say we open them up again and look at them. If that's what the community wants to do, and the small businesses feel like it's time, I'm open for that. It's originally it was Young Sign Company, Main Street, and maybe the Chamber and some citizens that looked at our signs statutes. So I'm definitely open to doing that again. The trash. I'm learning a lot about trash. So I had a small business come up to me and say, hey, we only got one trash bin. So I went and I tried to figure it out. Well, I wasn't aware until recently. The city only does residential trash. So they shouldn't have had a trash bin anyway. They should have a dumpster, right? And so, but when they got the dumpster, it wouldn't fit in the alley. And so they wanted to rent a parking space. Well, the city was going to charge them $300 to rent a parking space to put their dumpster. So it's like, as I peeled back the onions about trash, I learned more and more. So definitely, I'm for listening to the people and making some changes.
Well, I'm very happy about the changes that have been made and the committee that was formed. Back during COVID, we still had people dumping whole yards, whole house on the yard, and all of that getting picked up by our employees, and injuries and missed days. I mean, from just all of that pressure. And then during COVID, of course, we had a lot of people that were off work. And so it was so, I had the idea that we needed to go ahead and have an ordinance that said no dumping. And out of that, I'm sure Mr. Ogilvy will talk about this, but out of that came the idea of having a committee put together a plan. And so they've done the whole thing with the trash bins and all that. So I think that has improved. As far as it will improve. It will improve as soon as we get enough employees. But as far as the signage go, we're going to work on that. We are going to work on that. Thank you.
As far as the trash goes, any new thing takes time. I mean, everybody's got to learn the new ins and outs of how it's going to work. Just please be patient with our guys. They work hard and they try. I mean, we all do. Every blue collar man, woman, child, they all try. Okay? So just give them time. They'll get it figured out. I don't think we'll have a problem here in the next year. As far as the signage, I mean, let's get a committee. Let's talk to the small businesses. Let's get them together. Let's see if we can't just figure it out. We'll get it done. Plain and simple.
Just addressing the signs first, because that's where you pop on. I think anything that's going to inhibit any business going to open up shop in our town, we need to remove that, right? If they want to put a 40-foot sign on top of the building, if they're opening up that building and they're paying taxes for our city, I think we need to let them do it, right? We have enough empty buildings. Let's not create any more. That's just kind of where I am on that. As far as the trash is an unfortunate situation, right? We were all given one bin. It used to be you could put anything on the curb and they would take it. I understand why that went away, but people still have that expectation. I feel like I keep going back to this, but again, I'm going to go back to our infrastructure. If we had a proper police department, if we had fully staffed like they should be, maybe those issues would get taken care of. Maybe they would be policed a little bit better. I don't know. Everybody's got the trash. We got to figure out a better way to do it, whether that be through a committee or just a hearing. I'm open to suggestions on that. It's a sticky situation.
And the sneaky.
The sign situation. I'm all for relooking the ordinances to see what we can do about that. I mean, the ordinances were put in place so that we'd have a nice city and the signs would be orderly. Some people have taken that a little, overboard, and some have abided by the rules. But we have to look at helping small businesses get up and get started and understand the sign regulation. Next thing about trash, for 99% of the people in the city, the trash did not change. You can put trash bags out by the curb however you want. If you've got a cart, you can put trash in the cart, and you can put bags out by the street as well. We tried to curb the emptying out of the entire contents of the property into the street, which would put a burden on the trash collection. So for 99% of the people of the population in this room, trash didn't change. Thank you.
The next question. Please describe your position on the use of TIF and other tax incentives for businesses that are not named Home Depot or Walmart. Basically, how you can use TIF and other tax incentives to encourage large businesses to relocate to them.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with TIF. I mean, I'm about ready to have a TIF right now, but no. So I can't speak on that. I'm sorry.
Tax incentivized finance.
Oh, so when a big business comes in, they get tax relief in order to incentivize them to come here. Well, you still have to do that. They're big businesses. You want them to come here. You want them to open up. You want them to provide economic development. But the taxes that you pay, the sales tax that you pay, still comes back to the city. So that's what we want, is we want that sales tax. Thank you.
Again, yeah, I'm just ready to drink it. Again, it's another really, really sticky situation, just like the cash that we're talking about. Because yeah, you do want these big businesses to come in. You do want these big businesses to come in. You do want to create those jobs, but also you don't want to be handcuffed to them to their will and wants. If they want to move in 5 years and abandon the building that you now have to take care of and you now have to populate, or just have an empty building that just looks ugly in your city. It's a really double-edged sword. So yeah, I would love to see the use of that to create more jobs. And obviously, we have the room, like Holly was talking about. We have the business park. I'm not tripping over businesses there. There's plenty of open room for them, but I just don't want to be handcuffed to any one business and beholden to them for the term of the contract that they may have. That's really what
I think if we just work out a fair deal that helps us and helps them and gets them here, it would be just a great way to go about it.
Well, the city's got the commission worked together because before it was kind of negotiated. And now it's more, we have more of a plan of action of how we provide those tips, how we provide incentives. And, you have to be here a certain number of years in order to get that tip, otherwise you got to pay it back. And we determine how much the tip is costing us in sales tax or property tax or whatever, and how much we would make that back in sales tax. I mean, if a company makes back 10 times that much in sales tax, it's worth the tip.
I think TIP is a tool among many tools that we have to bring economic development here to Leavenworth. It would be great for manufacturing purposes, especially in that business park that's sitting empty right now. But we also have to, my parents own a small business and they always get frustrated. They've owned business for 40 years and they say, where are my incentives? Why don't I get a break? So we need to be careful to make sure we take care of our existing businesses. So it's definitely a tool in our toolbox.
All right, last question. We've talked about economic development quite a bit. What do you see yourself as a commissioner or the commission in general in moving forward, trying to improve the transportation infrastructure for Leavenworth?
So I've been learning, you mean roads and bridges, like roads, okay. So I have been learning a lot about infrastructure because that was not something that's in my wheelhouse. I just kind of get in my car and drive, and if it's bumpy, I go, oh, that was a bump. There's a pothole, and then I would go online and report the pothole. But I've been doing some research on ways, because our city is 150 years old, and you can go down streets and you can see brick. There are some streets that they didn't even bother to say, oh, let's leave it brick. And it actually is pretty. But I've looked into things where they're using plastic bottles actually in the chip and seal to make it harder, to make it sustainable. So I think that we need to look at new ways to make these roads last. Because I feel like they paved them and then 2-3 years later we're paving them again. So I know that we've gotten a lot of match grants from the county or from the state to do sidewalks and infrastructure, so I think we keep heading in that direction. I know there's been about $10 million in new infrastructure lately, so that's great.
We have a fairly new city engineer who's really, really on top of roads and ideas of how we do our roads. I mean, it's been kind of hit and miss in the past, and it's like who gets the most complaints and that sort of thing. Well, now they do a complete analysis of all the roads and all the infrastructure in Leavenworth to see what is the most serious. Last year, 2 years ago, we had a street just literally fall in over on Vilas by the Guidance Center, literally falling in. And we had to stop and take money out of the reserves and fix that really quickly. I mean, now we have cameras, we've got other things where we've checked out all of the infrastructure. We know what is the most serious and what needs to be done. So that's an improvement.
back in my wheelhouse, 20 years of experience in roads and sewer. So, I mean, when you do a project, you gotta do it right. And there's been some roads and stuff that have been redone. You can't put ditches right next to the road, they'll eat it away and the road will fall off. So when you do something, or we get something redone, we just need to get it done right the first time. The second time. And then there's a lot of cheaper ways to, instead of digging up the road and replacing it, if we do citriform, which is basically lining a pipe within a pipe. You don't have all the excavation, you don't have as much cost to you. I know, I've used it a lot, we've used it a lot on a lot of projects, it saves us a lot of time and a lot of money. We could do that with some of our pipes that are failing. As far as sinkholes and stuff, I mean, that's just all pipes. We've got over 100-year-old pipes in the ground right now. I know, I've worked on them.
And just continue that sentiment. I know I've seen them. Like I said, I used to formerly work in the wastewater department of Leavenworth. There's a lot of talk about fixing the roads and doing this correctly, going through contractors and things like that. Again, I'm going to just keep harping on the same thing I've been harping on for the longest time. If we hire and we have competitive wages, we can get qualified people in here to look at those roads and actually take care of them the way they need to be taken care of. That way we're not to the point where we're doing these emergency maintenances or we're finding roads collapsing on themselves because pipes have failed in the past. Again, it all goes back to building that qualified team of people, building those departments to make sure they can do the job when the time comes, instead of reacting to everything as it happens. It's way more expensive to fix something when it's broken versus doing minor maintenance on something before it collapses. So that's what I would like to see.
So the city has this pavement improvement plan where they hired a company that goes along and does surveys of the roads, does ground penetrating radar, and then gives you 4 classes of different types of layment that you can put down. I continually go down 10th Street every day to my job. And of course they're digging it up again. And they dug it down to a point where you could see the brick. And the bricks move. And so the stuff that they're putting over the top of that is going to deteriorate just as fast. So, like the people have said up here, do it right the first time and get it done so that we don't have to do it over again and continue spending money on that.
Candidates, thank you very much for answering our questions. And now it's time for closing statements. We'll give you each 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like I said, I'm 24-year Kansan and a veteran. I came here to Fort Leavenworth. I still work on Fort Leavenworth. That's why Commissioner Bowder was adamant about trying to keep this a nonpartisan race so that people who work in the government can still participate. And I work up there and I see how the installations run, and I see how their roads are, and I see how their infrastructure is, and I know that I can work hand in hand with the people on the installation because I speak their language. We already handle their wastewater, and we want to get the wastewater treatment plant up so it's running. We want to address fentanyl in this town because we don't want to continue to kill kids. We want to bring our taxes down to a manageable rate. A manageable rate meaning that we get the infrastructure and the things that we need without 14% raises every year. There's no way I can sell my house for what it's being appraised for, and I don't think anyone in this room is. And we've got some people who are on fixed income, and right now their taxes on their property is more than they were paying on their mortgage. So I want to address that, and I want to help the first responders have the tools that they need to address crime, and then I want to bring small businesses into Leavenworth, and big businesses are fine. I'd like to see a Lowe's come in and have competition with Home Depot, but that goes into negotiations again. So I would appreciate your vote on the 7th. The ballot's open, or the voting opens on 18 October, and you can go down to the courthouse and put your vote in at that time. Thank you.
Yeah. I think I've hit it multiple times. I'm going to hit it one more time because that's what I just like to do. I really believe our infrastructure is falling apart in several places. I believe a fix to that would be hiring competent, qualified individuals for our city departments. And the only way I think we can do that is if we really start looking at these wages and making sure that these people are being paid competitively. I would love to see that happen. So much money is wasted on emergency maintenance. It would baffle some of you. And these parts only get more expensive with time. To continue to put this off is just going to create more failure in the future. We talked about bringing new businesses and keeping old businesses, and just basically making our businesses happy. If they don't have the roots of that structure, if they're not sound, nobody's going to want to set up shop in this town. It's just not going to happen. And I really think it starts with getting qualified people in there, like I've said, and making sure they're paid competitively. They say a stitch in time saves 9. I think really now is the time for that stitch, and we really need to start working on that and getting these infrastructure issues taken care of prior to really trying to put the cart before the horse and trying to get big businesses in there. Just to watch our system fail when they get here. You know what I mean? I don't want to eat on my face. I'm sure you guys don't want it either. It's really where I stand. I would also like to just put it back in your ear. I am going for water board as well, so I'm on the board twice. If you guys want to vote for me twice, I would love that. I would truly love that. And I think that's more than that. I'm going to hand it over to Sam.
I'd like to see a balanced commission. Somebody who's blue collar, that knows the infrastructure, somebody who's good with money, knows the taxes. Somebody who can talk to people like you wouldn't believe, which we kind of have with your nation, honestly. Somebody who's got their pulse on the city, who understands what people are saying and listens to them and brings it to the board. I am infrastructure. I've been doing it for 20 years. I know the ins and outs of it. I'm pretty sure I can help save us money in that. I'd like your vote on November 7th. Thank you very much.
Well, Leavenworth has its challenges. We have half of our city is rental, and fortunately, we implemented a rental coordinator. My suggestion a few years ago to work with the people who live in the homes as well as the people who own the homes, which many of them aren't even in this town, and it was difficult to get a hold of. So I think that's one important thing that we have done in our community. I have short-term and long-term goals. A couple of short-term goals is to work with the local businesses to make opening new business more streamlined and transparent, to be able to give them a packet to sit down with them and make sure they understand what our rules are, because we do need some rules in our city. And review the sign ordinances, obviously, as part of that. I want to continue to work on plans to improve access to I-70 and 435, because we have to in order to bring business in here. Long term, I actually want to make our city bill. We spend a fortune on utilities, and we want to make our city buildings and equipment more energy efficient, and work to become more environmentally sustainable by using solar and other means. Our community center and our service center, our other buildings in the community, that City Hall, they use a lot of energy, and we need to be looking toward the future. I also want to work to expand our transit network, our bus network, with other cities, Leavenworth County and Kansas City. I think Lansing is taking an interest in this, and I originally, when I put the committee together, we did the study for the whole county, and all the cities in the county were involved, but they decided not to go with it. I think they want to do that now, and that's my goal.
Well, thank you so much, Ted and the Leavenworth-Lansing Chamber of Commerce for hosting this nonpartisan event tonight. I've served on the Government Affairs Committee, and I know a lot of work and time and planning goes into hosting this event, so thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for showing up. That's a big part of being a voter, is showing up and listening, so I appreciate that. I've been serving this community my whole life. I won the parent lottery. I have a great set of parents who taught me to always give back, so I've been giving back my entire life, and I've been involved in community my entire life. So I have the experience, and I think the next step is to put myself out there and run for city commission, so I'm really excited about what I'm doing. My vision for Leavenworth is to strengthen our economic development. We've talked a lot about that tonight, so hopefully we've got some great answers. But I also want to support, I know it's important to support our existing small businesses that we have, especially serving on the Leavenworth Main Street. I work day in and day out with the downtown businesses, and they want to see the love. I also want to use our amazing history that we have here in Leavenworth to bring in those sales tax dollars for revenue, so hopefully we can have money for the services, have money for infrastructure, have money to lower those taxes. I want to improve in community engagement. A lot of people want to be involved. That's what the First City Focus is about. We were able to change some things on the signs because our community got involved. I want to invest in sustainable infrastructure and strengthen the quality of life. We didn't get to talk about pickleball, but there's a lot of pickleball players in this community, and then they drive down from Atchison just to play in our pickleball court, so I know we're looking at doing a sports court. The quality of life and people wanting to live here, like the splash pad, are great things for our community. So I'm looking forward to serving you as your next city commissioner, and I'm asking for your vote on November 7th. And remember, I love Leavenworth.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a 10-minute break and then start with the school. Thank you.